Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster with part 1 of What If Asta Had Jugo's powers. Now, for those of you who don't know who Jugo is, I suggest looking him up and also looking at part 0 of this What If, so that you know and are caught up with everything, okay? Now then, as for anything else, as the polls ended up, you voted for this one to be the next What If to be uploaded. After this, the next one will be Truth Seeking Orbs, Asta, so yeah. Now then, before the What If starts, hit it. Okay, now then, if you've seen the the part 0, then you know that Asta, various things happened and he ended up growing up in the Black Bull's hideout. So Yami took him to the same Grimoire tower like in canon. I'm not sure if there's any other Grimoire towers and it's just more convenient this way. And remember, Asta doesn't remember anything about his past, which is why he's been living with the Black Bulls for so long growing up. Now then, as he walks in, he's wearing a cloak, you know, kind of like Jugo's cloak. So is Yami, covering up his Black Bull's robe as they walk in. Asta walking in with some of his long hair just kind of sticking out of the hood as he looks around. And he hears somebody yelling, "Yes, you got this." And it turns out to be a kid. He looks over and sees the kid, though he only took a glance, as the Grimoire ceremony was beginning, and everyone was given the Grimoire, except for Asta. Though he did notice a 4-leaf clover Grimoire going to a kid with black hair, a slender build, and some golden, I guess you call that color, eyes. And all of a sudden, Asta began to feel something. He knew him. Then he heard voices, some other people yelling out the name Yuno. He looked over to the same spot, but this time looking more intensely, seeing an old priest, a nun, and a number of children. Asta's head began to hurt, and he just walked out before anyone ever said anything about him not receiving Grimoire. While he was walking away, the priest took a glance at him and saw his hair and face. He recognized it. And thinking about what to do, he just paused for a moment and then just started following him after a tall man with black hair and some scruff on his face followed after him. Also began just to walk until he saw the demon skull. He walked under it and found a place that looks like there was some old marks from what looked to be training. His head began to hurt more as glimpses of memories began to come back, slowly at first. Yami came up to him asking what was wrong. Asta replied with, I'm not sure. I don't know what's happening." And then the priest came up and said, "Asta, is that you?" He looked behind them and saw the priest. He took off his hood and walked towards him. While he was, all of the memories began to flood back to him. When he got close, Asta began to cry, hugging the priest. And the priest hugged him back, crying, asking, "Where have you been all this time?" Yami stepped forward, asking, "So I guess he was with you before he ended up with us. He ended up staying at my place." The priest asked, "What happened? What exactly happened? One day Asta just disappeared." Asta needed to cool down a bit, so Yami asked if there was anything he needed to do. Remembering Yuno and their promise, he rushed over yelling, "Yeah, there's something I really gotta do right now." As he ran toward the Grimoire Tower, Yami grabs the priest's shoulder as he tries to stop Asta to talk to him, as Yami tells him that he's going to explain how he met Asta and how he ended up with him. Explaining that they found him wearing a collar that a magic collar to electrocute him, as he was forced to participate in illegal underground death matches. This shocked the priest, obviously. It tore him up to hear that Asta went through that, and that he wasn't there to help him. But uh, Yami then stated that him and some of the other captains found Asta. After I saw what they did to him, the scars and that collar, I broke the collar and made the person who did this to him pay. Trust me. The priest was a little uneasy hearing that, especially with the kind of feel that Yami was giving off of some pretty brutal rage, but he was glad that someone saved Asta, as Yami continues stating that since records aren't the best with orphans, and all Asta could remember was just the name Asta, they couldn't really figure out where he was from. In fact, they came to the Grimoire Tower hoping to run into somebody that could help jog his memory, which the priest asked, "Wait, what do you mean his memory? Did he forget everything? Is that why he didn't come back for all this time?" Yami scratched the back of his head, stating, "Well, after going for what he did, his mind just blocked a lot of stuff out. Trying to force it out with magic, I was told would be dangerous. So he just ended up living at uh, at my place, you know?" As the priest thanked Yami very much for bringing Asta back to them. Yami was getting a little uneased by this, just stating, "Yeah, no problem. You can stop the mushy stuff already, please." Now we switch over to Yuno, who beats the nobles who attempted to burn his grimoire, as well as getting captured by the chain mage. As Asta was running, seeing this, he just got really pissed, fully transforming in an instant, reconfiguring the back of his calf to release energy like a rocket to kick him, the chain mage, clean across the little pathway at the Grimoire Tower, sending him to the wall, causing him to release Yuno's grimoire, which Asta grabbed. Upon seeing this, Yuno saw this kid with this white kind of gray hair and this transformation. He recognized that this was Asta instantly. He couldn't believe that it was him. After that, the chain mage just got pissed, repeatedly attacking him with a barrage of chains. Asta used his transformation to punch the chains one after the other, breaking the sharpened spearheads of the chains, which the chain mage could tell that this kid has no magic, but this transformation, these appearance and abilities, what the hell? As Asta blitzed towards him, the chain mage reacted quickly to use his chains to pull him away. As Asta punched the wall, revealing that he formed pistols on the outside of the cells covering his arms, slamming down, destroying a good chunk of the wall. As the chain mage starts to freak out, thinking that that could have been him. As the chain mage said, "Alright, I'm done with you. And don't worry, I won't kill you. I'll make sure to capture you. I'm sure there's gonna be all kinds of scientists and magic researchers that will want to examine you close up and alive." Though at this time, the anti-magic grimoire burst from the wall, coming in front of Asta, as the chain maid yelled out, "What the hell? That shouldn't be possible. You don't have any magic. My chains checked. You don't even have a scrap of it. And what the hell are you?" At this time, Asta just looks at him saying, "Doesn't really matter. All that matters is that I beat your ass." Grabbing the anti-magic demon slayer sword, as the chain mage goes to attack and gets his magic destroyed by Asta. Asta instantly goes straight for him, using the flat of the blade to slam into the chain mage, sending him flying unconscious, releasing Yuno. After that, he changed back. As he walked over to Yuno and giving him back his grimoire, he stated, as he smirked, "Sorry it took me so long to get back. A lot of things happened." Yuno was still kind of stoic, but he hugged Asta. Kind of uncharacteristic for Yuno, but in this situation, I think it's okay. As he states, "You idiot. Where the hell have you been?" As Asta just sighs, hugging Yuno back, stating, "That's a bit of a long story." As they step away from the hug, Asta sticks out his fist, stating, But I remember our promise." A bit of fist bump, and regaling the promise they made that one of them would become the Wizard King. After that whole mess, the chain mage was taken away. Yami and the priest caught up with them, as well as the other kids from the orphanage and Sister Lily, who, the ones that were kind of old enough, recognized that Asta looked familiar, and Sister Lily cried, hugging Asta, remarking that she's glad he's back. So after that, Yuno and Sister Lily were caught up on what happened with Asta, and how seeing Yuno, the pre-Sister Lily, and all the kids from the orphanage brought back his lost memories, which they were happy to have him back. Though they knew with Asta's goal to be a wizard, the Wizard King and the Magic Knight and all that, he'd end up having to leave not very long after just meeting back up. But Asta promised that he'll make sure to visit whenever he can. which the father was just happy to hear that, especially to hear it from Asta himself in person. As Yami was leaving, Asta ran after him, stating, "Wait, where are you going?" Yami stated, "I'm going back home. You to stay here for a while." As he smirks, stating, "These people are also your family, right? So you should catch up with them." Asta smirked, thanking Yami for uh, not only saving him, looking after him afterwards, but also for helping him find his way back. This kind of embarrassed Yami for a little bit, as he told him to just just don't get into so any more trouble, at least until you get into the magic night. As Finral shows up and Yami tells him that they're leaving, as he explains quietly about the situation. Back at the Black Bull's hideout, Yami and Finral fills them in. They're happy for Asta, though they're kinda sad that they didn't get to say goodbye, or at least meet the people that, raised him before he was taken. So, but Luck and Magna aren't that worried. They're sure that they'll meet again after he goes through the Magic Knight exam. Kid's freakishly strong and a hell of a man, as Magna remarks, and Luck just saying, "Well, yeah, and now that he has a grimoire, he'll be an even better fight now." So, Asta spends a lot more time at the church training with Yuno, using their grimoires, though he does still go out for a bit of a training for a month in the woods, as he does still meet the magic swordsman from the Diamond Kingdom and who he helped out and trained with. Though due to all the training he did with Yuno, he figures out that the flat of the blade does reflect magic back at the attacker, which he just finds all kinds of awesome. After all that time spent training, they were off. The father was a little nervous about having Asta leave again, but you can see that he's strong, incredibly so, and that he'll be fine. Though he still wishes that he had more time to spend together after so long being apart. But Asta bumps him in the chest with a fist, saying, "Don't worry, I'm going to come back when any chance I get, okay? And I'll make sure I don't get into too much trouble." This reassures the father and sister Lily, as Juno and Asta get ready to leave, though, surprisingly, are met by Finral, who said that Yami asked me to come over here and give you guys a bit of a hand getting to the capital for the exams. Which Asta was just fine with, though, still can't believe he spent so many years being with the Black Bulls. Though, with Mineral Spatial Magic, they get there instantly, and end up having a day of free time. Asta and get to meet with Gordon, Finral, and Yami, which Asta's happy to see them again, as looks at them, stating, "Thank you for looking after this idiot for so long." As Asta remarked, "Hey, who you calling an idiot?" with Yami just trying his best not to laugh, and Asta looking at him saying, "Hey, I know what you're trying to resist, but don't even play not trying to laugh at right now." After that, they get some rest. For the next day, they head to the Magic Night exam. They get registered like in canon. And as for everything like the test, the magic creation test, as well as the flying test, also doesn't do so well in, though in the marksman test, he partially transforms his arm, creating an opening in the cell where his palm would be around his arm, and releasing a burst of energy, which Jugo is actually capable of. So he does have that. Now for the combat portion. After seeing his body, a part of his body change like that, the haha guy isn't so excited to go up against him. Still fights the noble and beats him pretty badly. As for Asta, he ends up fighting like a smoke mage noble who remarks that he's going to destroy him, like up close to Asta, whispering this to him. Asta right now still basically wears a cloak, so he's pretty much shirtless, finding it easier that way to fully transform for combat, wearing shorts and sandals instead of shoes. So he kicks off the sandals and throws off the cloak, as some people are remarking, why is this guy undressing? As the mark on basically in the area around where the shoulder and the neck meets begins to grow and cover his body, darkening it all completely, as parts of it begin to like form odd things that aren't supposed to be on a human, as well as cells covering the palms of his hands where his fingers just go through, as well as a good portion from there upwards, a little past his elbow. So basically what's basically the same as you see in the thumbnail. After he reunited with everybody at the church, Sister Lily gave him a much needed haircut. This somewhat worried the noble, but he wasn't going to let it stop him. Using a widespread smoke screen, Asta pulled out the anti-magic sword, blasting a good chunk of it away. This began to worry the noble, so he made smoke clones, attacking Asta repeatedly, though he kept just hacking and slashing with his sword in one hand and just smacking with the other, completely obliterating the decoys. As then he goes for a smoke attack to try to suffocate him, Asta can feel his intent, smirking as he sliced clean through it, learning Ki a lot earlier than in canon from Yami, and having a pretty good grasp on it. And so he goes directly towards the guy, just full on jumping up into the air, turning the shell into a spear-like appendage covering his fingers, stabbing directly into the ground, then slamming pistons formed on the side of the cells, causing a greater impact. Though he was able to dodge a little bit, Asta's attack was a bit showy, but it wasn't, he didn't get far. Asta's shoulder began to change shape, and then launched some form a larger hand out of Asta's shoulder to grab the noble. When he tried to get out, the noble feels his stamina and strength leaving him, but his mana is still the same. This is an ability Jugo used also. He's basically draining him of his stamina and such, as he just tosses the noble down to the side where he no longer can get up, and placing the Demon Slayer sword on top of him for good measure. As his shoulder went back to normal, he turned back, and the match was called as Asta being the victor. He gets his sandal and cloak back. Then we just hear the noble yelling, "Get this thing off of me! It's crushing me! It won't even budge! Help!" As the mages that are supposed to take care of the medical issues after a fight are not even budging the sword trying to lift this thing up, and there's like 3 of them trying to lift it. Asa just sighs, saying, "Really? These normal mages are so physically weak. It's actually kind of sad." He grabs the sword and with one hand, lifting it up like it's nothing, putting it back in his grimoire. After that, the selection happens like in canon for Yuno going with the Golden Dawn. As for Asta, he does get more hands raised, like the Green Praying Mantis, as well as the Crimson Lions and the Black Bulls, and the Aqua Deers as well. Though Jack piped up a little bit, saying, "Hey kid, what exactly was that transformation you used?" Asta just scratched his head, saying, "I'm not really sure how to describe it. Just something I've been able to do. It just feels natural." Which, pun intended, considering if you know what causes, like, fuels the curse mark. So, as for the as for Flagolion, he was actually a part of the mission that saved Asta from the illegal underground death matches that was along with Yami and such. So yeah, he knows about what Asta can do. And seeing how he's able to just destroy magic with that sword of his did get him interested. But obviously, Asta chooses the Black Bulls. They've taken care of him for so long. So, after all that, as Asta was getting to go, he met up with Yuno, as they stated. Well, Yuno stated, "Looks like we're parting ways again." As Asta smirked, saying, "Yeah, but this time we at least know where each other are. And I'm pretty sure we'll see each other sooner than we think, huh?" Yuno smirked, saying, "Probably. Especially if you get yourself in trouble again." Which just annoys Asta for a little bit as he yells out, "Oh, ha ha, very funny." As just smirks, walking away, stating, "I know." Which just aggravates Asta even more, saying, "Oh, I am going to wipe that smug look, that, well, I can't say smug, more like frickin' stoic or whatever you want to call it, emotionless look off your face one day." And, chimed in one last time, saying, "I highly doubt it." Before he gets any more frustrated, Yami grabs him by the head, which he looks back as Yami states, "Time to go home, kid." As they leave to go and they open the door, like in canon, they just find the Black Bulls being crazy as usual, though Asta's this time's like, "Nothing really ever changes here, does it?" With Grimoire stating, "No, not really." With a fireball coming at them, Asta instantly pulls the Demon Slayer's sword, using the flat of the blade to send it back, smack, blowing up Magna a bit as he said, "What the hell?" as he sees Asta's back with Magna and Luck just running straight towards him, saying, "So you passed, huh? How'd you do?" Asta just scratched the back of his head, saying, "Well, I got the marksman part and the combat part down. Still can't fly, and, still can't fly and make creations, but, as he reconnects with all the rest of the Black Bulls and such, and they go outside to celebrate a little bit. Magna started up a bonfire and they started cooking some meat over it. As we just kind of back up a little bit to see a silvered haired girl on a higher part of the Black Bull's hideout. As he looks down, seeing Asta, he remarks, "So, he's here too. It's been a while." Which we will be ending this part of the what if right here. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, do remember to hit the notification bell to set it on all. Otherwise, you won't be getting a direct alert whenever I put a new video up on my YouTube channel. So please keep that in mind. Also, do remember that the next video that will be coming up is what if Asta had truth-seeking orbs, and there will be a little bit of explanation to give on that one, so at least in consolation for how it works in this what if. So please, I hope you enjoyed all of my what ifs, and see you later. Bye.